I will let you know today that how an environmental policy is studied actually. So for that, what I will do, I will share the screen with you so that you will keep a track of what we are discussing, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you just see that this is the J&K environmental policy. This is the policy you might have downloaded.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
it is the J&K State Environmental Policy, which has been drafted in 2018. I mean redrafted. And now you see here are the contents of the policy, what all it includes. And first of all, there is the preamble. Preamble is actually all what is the, we can say, the aims, objectives, justifications of the policy, that all is mentioned in the preamble. That is with what aim the policy had come into existence, as there is a mention about that environment represents the totality of the surroundings, whether it is plants, whether animals, whether microorganisms, whether socio-economic and cultural factors, or the physical factors of the surroundings of human being like land or water, or we can talk about atmosphere, isn't it? So these all things comprise the environment, and it is the duty of the state to take measures for preservation of this environment. So because the quality of life is linked with the quality of the environment. So that is why there is a requirement of a policy which will ensure that the environment, the demands on the environment will not exceed the carrying capacity. So that this is how this state environmental policy is justified, and this is all in the preamble. Then after that we reach to the key environmental challenges, because you know that once you are creating any policy, you have taken into consideration that what are the various challenges which you have to cope up with a specific policy. And in that backdrop, when we talk about the challenges that we are facing, that is loss and degradation of forests and biodiversity. If you will have data, and you will come to know that some 30, 40, 50, 70 years back, what was the ratio of the forest land was much higher than it is now. So you may have the idea that I can tell you, suppose about the heart of Srinagar city, like Fateh Kadal. My grandfather used to tell me that long time back this place was also a forest. So that is the heart of the city. That is, so you can imagine that even there is a proof for that also, because if we will talk about the shrine of Sultanul Arifin, Makhdum Sahab की shrine, आप गए हैं कभी वहाँ पे? तो हाँ, that is in Srinagar, close to Navhata. लेकिन वहाँ पे you know that because saints always used to remain away from people, where they will not get disturbed because they have to meditate in isolation. So that saint, some 600 years back, had chosen that place because it would have been a very remote forest, and the area was through the forest, so there would not have been any life, people living in the vicinity. So there was less scope for getting disturbed. But nowadays you see
Yes.
that that entire place is a densely built up area. Even if we will go to Sultan al Arifin shrine, even when we are going to the steep here, there is a steep slope we have to go through. On that steep slope, there are houses where people are living, densely populated houses. So, this is an indicator that how, with the passage of time, we have been losing uh, or our forest wealth, or the forests have been degraded. So, this is actually a major environmental challenge that we are facing, because forests are degrading alarmingly, isn't it? And once
Yes,
they
sir.
are degrading, so definitely there is a threat to the wildlife which used to be the habitats of the forests. Sometimes you hear that even lions, bears are witnessed in cities. So this is actually due to the degradation of forests, and their habitats have been threatened by that degradation. So that is the reason that then they are seen in major towns or cities as well. So this is a key challenge which our environment is facing. Secondly, we talk about loss of wetland ecosystems. You see
Yes, sir.
that what happens in 2014, if you will have observed the floods that
Yes, sir. Yes.
created havoc during 2014.
14.
So, what was actually the reason? That was actually we have actually lost our wetlands. Wetland means those areas where, suppose there is excess rainfall, or there are sort of, we can say, cloud bursts or similar situations. Then there are some wetlands which absorb or which retain that excess water. But what happened once we have lost those wetlands? Because when those wetlands have been used for development of infrastructure, for construction of houses, for construction of roads, isn't it? So then,
Yes, sir.
as a result of which, what happened when that excess water was there, then it had no place to go. So it straight away went into the homes of the people. Even it reached to the first floor and second floor of some houses. And that was a threat to the life of the
Yes.
inhabitants of those areas. You talk about Rajbagh. It was in two stories of the houses, they were underwater. Similarly, many places they had, we can say, a narrow escape during that time. Otherwise, they would have drowned in that situation. So this is again a very, we can say, high threat or for this environment. Similarly, you can witness how the rivers have deteriorated over the passage of time. कि जो दरियाओं की हालत है उसमें क्या हो गया कि जो रिवर्स और रिवर इकोसिस्टम जे का कैसे डिटेरियोरेट हो गया, बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स टुक प्लेस वहाँ पे, चाहे वो सैंड माइनिंग हो गई, एनक्रोचमेंट्स हो गई दरियाओं पे। आप देखते हैं कि रिवर जो रिवर साइड्स पे कितने लोग आए रहने के लिए, तो फिर उन्होंने कैसे रिवर्स को एनक्रोच करना शुरू किया। तो कुछ लोगों ने दरियाओं में सीधे मिट्टी डाली, यातस वनान बराई करें, सोलिंग डाली उसमें,
Yes, sir.
तो फिर ऊपर से कुछ बनाया
Yes, sir.
उस
Yes,
पर।
sir.
So once that is the situation that led to encroachment of rivers, and once rivers were encroached, naturally it could not carry the water like it used to carry long back. It had now less, we can say, space for that. So with the result of that, the river water started flowing over the banks, and since people have already encroached the banks and started living there, so their life was absolutely threatened once the water started overflowing through the banks. So this is again, we can say, a threat, a key environmental challenge. Then we talk about alarming rate of air, water and soil contamination. So nowadays you see that new industries are coming up, and you know that industries are making use of various chemicals, and then those sort of chemicals are being we talk about, suppose, agricultural sector, and you witness that how new industries are coming up with new pesticides. Day in and day out they are coming up with new
Yes, sir.
sort of fertilizers, which are chemical fertilizers, and then those chemical fertilizers are being used in the agricultural land because people think that it will increase productivity, or it will come sort of some pesticides or some sort of ripening agents. People use some ripening agents that it will uh, expedite means that एक क्विक करेगी प्रोसेस ऑफ राइपनिंग ऑफ एप्पल्स, जल्दी जल्दी एप्पल्स का रंग रेड हो जाएगा तो इसको हम बेचेंगे। तो some people are using that.
Yes, sir.
So what happened as a result of that, that food भी contaminate हो गया, because whatsoever comes out the crop which is being harvested after making use of those chemical pesticides, so that had an effect on our food also. Fruit quality down हो गई। अगर if we'll talk about our elders, they say that long back when we used to take apple, वो कहते हैं अंबुर सूंट सो मज़ा आसान, अब तो नहीं होता है। So that is actually
Yes, sir.
that is the result of making use of these sort of chemical fertilizers and other sort of pesticides, which have affected, in the long run they have affected the quality of the soil. तो soil की quality जो है तो उसको उन्होंने affect किया है। So similarly we talk about आप देखते हैं कि people are now converting paddy lands. They are converting paddy lands to cash crops. दान ज़मीन से बनावन ऊंट बाग।
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that is again a major threat, we can say a key challenge to our environment, because once we are living in an ecosystem, we require multiple things for our survival. We can't survive on apples only. We need paddy also. We need rice to for our survival. And if we will convert our rice fields into apple orchards, then we won't be able to harvest rice, paddy. So that will create a problem for our survival in future, because if all people will start doing like that, then how can we get rice or other things which are required? So environmental challenge is there also, because we have to ensure that as far as our requirement is concerned, we have to take into consideration our requirements, and we have to demarcate land for that purpose. So that is why there is a legislation that has been passed that we can't convert or we can't construct houses on paddy lands. तो आप देखते हैं कि जब हम ज़मीन का स्टेटस देखते हैं तो वहाँ पे वो इंतखाबात में वो उर्दू लैंग्वेज यूज़ होती है, दर्जे अरबी अव्वल होता है, अरबी सौम होता है, तो फिर उसमें हम मकान नहीं बना सकते। तो उसमें वो स्टेटस होता है लैंड का उसी हिसाब से, ताकि वो लैंड मखसूस रहे उसी चीज़ के लिए जिस चीज़ के लिए उसका वो स्टेटस है। तो फिर क्या होता है, देन सम पीपल use some corrupt means. Suppose they pay bribes to the concerned people and then they construct houses on that land, and the people who are being assigned the task to protect that land, they do not report that matter because they have taken some money and they remain silent. So that is how you are witnessing nowadays paddy lands getting converted into orchards, or paddy lands getting or being used for construction of houses or shopping complexes or something else. So then we talk about scarcity of water. As you know that water table is decreasing, although in Kashmir it is not that much of problem, but in other parts water table is continuously decreasing. So that is because various things have happened during the recent past. As we talk about the industrial use, industries are increasing and the pollution from the industries had led to decrease in the water tables. So that is again a major challenge for environment. Then you see that we talk about the solid wastes. You talk about the wastes coming from electronic factories or items. तो then it is dumped in certain places. इसे किसी जगह डंप किया जाता है ज़मीन में, तो उसकी जो टॉक्सिसिटी है उन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आइटम्स की, सपोज हम बैटरीज को देखते हैं जो पुरानी बैटरीज होती हैं, तो फिर इनको भी कहीं डंप किया जाता है जब ये ख़त्म हो जाती है, ख़राब हो जाती है। लेकिन उसके बाद जहाँ पे इनको डंप किया जाता है इन सॉलिड वेस्ट्स को, ये बहुत डैमेज करते हैं वहाँ उस एरिया के सॉइल में, क्योंकि इसका जो इफ़ेक्ट है ये बहुत देर तक रहता है, बिकॉज इट इज़ समथिंग विच रिमेन्स फॉर ए क्वाइट लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, जिसे हम कहते हैं ज़मीन को बंजर बना देता है। आर यू गेटिंग इट? तो ये चीज़ जो है, इसी तरीके से हम बात करते हैं फिर क्लाइमेट चेंज है, क्योंकि वक्त के साथ साथ फिर ये चीज़ें जब हो रही हैं तो क्लाइमेट में फिर चेंज आती है, नेगेटिव चेंज होती हैं क्लाइमेट में सपोज आप देखते हैं कि जैसे हम कल बात कर रहे थे, वी वेर टॉकिंग अबाउट ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, isn't it? So then such changes take place in the climate if these problems or these we can say challenges are not being addressed at the earliest. अगर इन पे जल्दी कुछ एक्शन नहीं ली जाएगी तो ये लॉन्ग टर्म में बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स कर सकती है। तो लेकिन अब हम क्या बात करते हैं, नाउ वी कम टू द एक्शंस दैट हैव बीन टेकन। सो जो कुछ लॉज बने गए, जैसे कि एनवायरनमेंट प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 1986 है, एयर प्रिवेंशन एंड कंट्रोल ऑफ पोल्यूशन एक्ट 1981, as I was discussing with you yesterday, that there was a legislation that was passed to the state government that if any industrial factory will be started it is to be ensured that the pollution due to that industrial unit is minimum. So for that they have to install such devices which will mitigate the level of pollution. So they have to invest some extra money for that and install such gadgets, machines, which will absorb excess pollutants so that minimum pollution will take place as a result. So that is because such acts are now in operation. Then you have Jammu Kashmir Wildlife Protection Act, you have स्टेट मोटर व्हीकल्स एक्ट. आप देखते हैं कि हर किसी गाड़ी को 6 महीने के बाद पोल्यूशन चेक करना होता है, तो वो देखते हैं उस मशीन से कहीं इसके जो एमिशंस हैं वो रिक्वायर्ड लेवल से ज़्यादा तो नहीं है, सो दैट द व्हीकल विल बी वी कैन से सर्विस्ड अकॉर्डिंगली, सो दैट इट विल नॉट पोल्यूट द एनवायरनमेंट. तो उसलिए वो सर्टिफिकेट लानी पड़ती है 6 महीने के बाद. सो दैट इज़ बिकॉज ऑफ द मोटर व्हीकल्स एक्ट. या मोटर व्हीकल्स एक्ट में अब ये चीज़ भी है कि जो पुरानी गाड़ियाँ हैं जो फिर ज़्यादा पोल्यूशन क्रिएट कर सकती हैं, अनसेफ रह सकती है एनवायरनमेंट के लिए भी, बाकी चीज़ों के लिए भी, उनको फिर वो कंडम भी किया जाता है, जिसको कहते हैं कि उनकी फिर जो लाइफ है वो फिर बढ़ाई नहीं जाती है. तो दैट इज़ एक्चुअली दीज आर द एक्ट्स which are there to combat such challenges. तो उसके बाद हम आते हैं इस पॉलिसी के गोल्स पे. तो गोल क्या है अब एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी का? इट इज़ टू कंजर्व, प्रोटेक्ट, रिस्टोर एंड एनहांस स्टेट्स एनवायरनमेंट in order to improve the quality of life for present and future generations through sustainable management and use of the environment and natural resources. So this is the goal of the policy, that is to conserve, to protect, to restore, so that our future generations can be also able to make use of the environment and natural resources. And based on this goal, some objectives have been set for the state environmental policy, like to protect and conserve critical ecological systems and natural resources and invaluable natural and man-made heritage, which are essential for life support, livelihoods, economic growth, and a broad conception of human well-being. Okay, so similarly, to ensure equitable access to environmental resources and quality for all sections of society, so that all sections of society have access to the environment. Then judicious use of environmental resources to meet the needs and aspirations of the present and future generations. When we talk about present and future generations, we talk about sustainability. That is sustainability, so that we can also make use of it and our coming generations will also be able to make use of it. So that will only be possible when we are ensuring judicious use of environmental resources. Suppose we talk about wood. We can use wood for firewood, or we can use wood for construction of huts or something. But judiciously is, suppose हमने देखा कि फॉरेस्ट में कुछ पेड़ जो हैं वो ख़राब हो गए, मतलब उनकी लाइफ जो है अब ख़त्म हो गई है, तो उनको हम काट सकते हैं और उसके बदले में हम साथ ही और पेड़ लगा सकते हैं. So that is judicious use of environmental resource. So that we have demarcated some trees which we feel that now they are, we can say now their life is over, and now they can be used for some sort of, for making furniture or for making some wooden huts or some sort of firewood in some places. बट ये नहीं कि अगर हम एक अच्छा सा हेल्दी दरख्त को काट लेंगे, उसको उसके यूज़ में लगाएंगे, तो वो हो गया गलत यूज़, मिसयूज़. जुडिशियस यूज़ हो गया कि हम देखते हैं जहाँ पे ख़राब हो गया है कोई दरख्त, उसको उस पर्पज़ के लिए हम, जैसे you can have an idea that forest department has its timber depots.
Yes, sir. Yes.
तो then what forest department does, they cut some trees, जैसे मैंने अभी बताया जो ख़राब हुए होते हैं, तो then they auction that timber to people who want to buy it. But at the same time, forest department plants new trees as a replacement for those old trees which they have cut down, and they judiciously demarcate which trees need to be cut down, so that only such trees which they feel are no more required to be kept there. So that is the objective. Then similarly, you see that capacity development as well as the use of innovative environmental management tools. So this is another objective to support research, so that we can know about capacity development, we can know about innovative environmental management tools. Then we can have the idea about environmental impact assessment. We can have about environmental audit should take place. So these are the things which are under the objectives. Then we talk about some guiding principles. Now, when we talk about a policy, it is based on the following 3 guiding principles of sustainable development. That should be socially acceptable. Matlab people in the society should accept that. That should be economically viable. There should be a sort of financial feasibility for that, and environmentally it should be sound. So these are the guiding principles. So because according to the following principles which come under the National Environment Policy 2006, activities of different actors in relation to this policy, because there are environmental right. Every person in the state has a right to a clean and healthy environment, and a duty to safeguard and enhance the environment. This is the environmental right. So then the right to development is there, ecosystem approach is there, total economic value, sustainable use, equity, because environment belongs to all, public participation, decentralization, precautionary principles, polluter pays principle. So they have to bear, the person who is the polluter, whether it is an industrialist or anybody, so they have to bear the full environmental and social costs of their activities. That means there should be a penalty for that. So environmental standard setting, preventive action, environmental offsetting, capacity building. Then there should be a cooperation with national programs. जो नेशनल लेवल पे एनवायरनमेंट बचाने के लिए जो प्रोग्राम्स हैं उनके साथ भी कोलैबोरेट करना है. तो फिर टाइम टू टाइम पॉलिसीज़ का रिव्यू भी लेना है, बिकॉज वी हैव टू टेक द रिव्यू ऑफ द पॉलिसी. हमको देखना है कि कहीं पॉलिसी में कोई चीज़ गलत तो नहीं है, या कहीं पॉलिसी में कोई डेफिशिएंसी तो नहीं है, कुछ और मत ऐड करना है. So that is only possible when we are taking a review of the policy with the experts, environmentalists, stakeholders, people, so that we can come up with some new ideas, and the policy can be accordingly modified. And we have to also take a review of implementation. Once the policy is implemented, we have to see whether it is implemented properly, whether there is any problem or obstacle in way of implementation, so that what we can do, we can come across such things and we can remove such bottlenecks or obstacles during the implementation stage. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So this is how we are studying an environmental policy. Then we talk about forest ecosystems. because a forest itself has its own ecosystem. So as we were discussing right now, that to what extent we can cut trees in the forest for fuel wood or other purpose, and or to what extent we can use forest as for the purpose of grazing of livestock. अब देखते हैं कि जो लाइव स्टॉक ग्रेजिंग के लिए भी फॉरेस्ट्स को यूज़ किया जाता है. अब देखते हैं बकरवाल लोग वो लेते हैं अपने इन मवेशियों को फॉरेस्ट्स में ग्रेजिंग पर्पस के लिए, तो उनको अलाउ किया जाता है उस चीज़ के लिए, क्योंकि वो एक जुडिशियस यूज़ हो गया उसका फॉरेस्ट का, क्योंकि वहाँ पे सपोज काफ़ी ग्रास आएगा और वैसे भी फिर वो वेस्ट हो जाएगा. तो यहाँ से फिर वो ये लेके लाइव स्टॉक लेके जाते हैं वहाँ पे, एंड देन दे टेक दैट लाइव स्टॉक विद देम फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ ग्रेजिंग. तो उससे उनका काम निकलता है अच्छी तरह से और फॉरेस्ट को भी कोई नुकसान नहीं पहुंचता है. तो दिस इज़ एक्चुअली हाउ द फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्सेज आर बीइंग पुट टू अ जुडिशियस यूज़. तो फिर हम वाइल्ड लाइफ की बात करते हैं, क्योंकि वाइल्ड लाइफ की भी अपनी एक खसूसियत है. तो एक वो भी एक इकोसिस्टम का एक हिस्सा है. दैट इज़ वाई देयर इज़ अ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ डिफरेंट स्पीशीज़ जो विच वेयर प्रोन टू बी एक्सटिंक्ट. होंगुल को यहाँ पे होंगुल कंजर्वेशन प्रोजेक्ट स्टार्ट किया गया, क्योंकि होंगुल के शिकार के लिए जाते थे शिकारी, फिर वो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता से होंगुल ख़त्म ही हो रहे थे. अब कंप्लीट बैन लगा फिर उस पर होंगुल हंटिंग पे, isn't it? तो this is actually because conservation of wildlife involves the protection of entire ecosystems. However, in several cases, delineation and restricting access to such protected areas as well as disturbance by humans on the areas has led to man-animal conflicts. While physical barriers and better policing may temporarily reduce such conflict, it is also necessary to address their underlying causes. Since wildlife does not remain confined to particular areas, there is also need to ensure greater protection and habitat enhancement outside the protected areas. So that is why you see some wildlife sanctuaries are also coming up, so that such certain species of animals are being properly protected in order to conserve them. Then similarly you talk about biodiversity and traditional knowledge. तो इसी तरीके से फिर हम आते हैं माउंटेन इकोसिस्टम के लिए पॉलिसी है J&K की, कि वहाँ पे उसकी कंजर्वेशन कैसे की जाए. क्योंकि वहाँ पे फिर ग्लेशियर्स भी होते हैं, बाकी चीज़ें भी हैं, उसका भी एक इफ़ेक्ट है माहौल पे. तो फॉरेस्ट फूड वैल्यू एडिशन एंड इट्स इकोलॉजिकल बेनिफिट्स. फॉरेस्ट्स में काफ़ी नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज हैं, रिजर्वायर्स हैं, हर्ब्स हैं जो मेडिसिन बनाने के काम आते हैं. सो इट इज़ टू बी सीन दैट हाउ वी आर मेकिंग यूज़ ऑफ दीज थिंग्स विदाउट डैमेजिंग द एनवायरनमेंट. सॉइल एंड लैंड डिग्रेडेशन की बात आती है. कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि जैसे आप देखते हैं कि किसी जगह सॉइल इरोजन होता है फिर बस्ती ही ख़त्म हो जाती. तो उसमें भी देखना है कि क्योंकि कुछ चीज़ें होते हैं, सपोज़ हम दरख्तों की ही बात करेंगे, जो स्टीप स्लोप्स होते हैं वहाँ पे दरख्त जो होते हैं उनके रूट्स बहुत नीचे तक जाते हैं, और वो जो रूट्स उनके होते हैं वो उसको फिक्स रखते हैं सॉइल को. अगर उस जगह दरख्त काटा गया तो वहाँ की सॉइल इरोड हो सकती है. तो इसलिए ये चीज़ भी ज़ेर गौर रखना है कि अगर किस जगह हम काट सकते हैं दरख्त, किस जगह नहीं काट सकते हैं, किस जगह क्योंकि वी हैव टू सी दैट देयर कैन बी प्रॉब्लम्स लाइक सॉइल इरोजन, या किसी जगह लोग मिट्टी निकालते हैं भराई के लिए, किसी स्लोप से उतारते हैं, लेकिन उनको नहीं पता है कि ये जो है ये किसी पहाड़ को सपोर्ट करती हैं पीछे से, अगर ये निकली तो वो पहाड़ खिसक के नीचे आ जाएगा। तो ये चीज़ें जो है ये एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट्स को पूरा इसका स्टडी होता है, तो दैट इज़ हाउ द पॉलिसीज़ कम अप। आप देखते हैं ना किसी जगह फिर वो बैन लगाते हैं मिट्टी निकालने में,
Yes, sir.
तो फिर लोग बोलते हैं हम तो मिट्टी निकालते थे, हमने क्या किया, इसमें तो कोई गलत नहीं था। लेकिन उनको मत पता है आम इंसान को कि इसका लॉन्ग टर्म इम्पैक्ट क्या हो सकता है, क्योंकि वो मिट्टी, वो जो बंड है, वो जो क्या है स्लोप है, वो कभी किसी बड़े पहाड़ को सपोर्ट करती होती है, अगर वो निकले तो पहाड़ खिसक सकता है। सो दैट इज़ वाई अंडर एनवायरमेंटल legislation those things are then banned in the policy, so that this will not happen, because it can endanger the life of people.
Yes, sir.
रिवर सिस्टम हमने डिस्कस किया अभी। देन वी टॉक अबाउट द ग्राउंड वाटर की हम बात करते हैं, तो वेटलैंड्स की हमने बात की, एग्रेरियन सिस्टम्स की हमने बात की कि कैसे जो पेस्टिसाइड्स बाकी सारी चीज़ों से ये एग्रेरियन सिस्टम डैमेज हो रहा है। और उसमें दूसरा चीज़ भी है एग्रेरियन सिस्टम में कि जो अर्बनाइजेशन होती है। Urbanization means when people from rural areas start coming to urban areas. Suppose बहुत दूर दूर गाँव से लोग जब श्रीनगर आते हैं, फिर क्या होता है, फिर श्रीनगर का एरिया है क्योंकि वहाँ वो बढ़ जाता है, और जब वो बढ़ जाता है तो श्रीनगर एक्सपेंड होता है उन एरियाज़ की तरह जो पहले गाँव थे। तो वो गाँव अब आते हैं अंडर मतलब अर्बन, वो बनती हैं सिटी, वहाँ पे अब घर बनते हैं नज़दीक नज़दीक में, और वहाँ का जो लैंड है वो सारा कन्वर्ट होता है, वो एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड पे मकान बनते हैं, बाकी सारी चीज़ें बनती हैं। तो ये भी एक प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि फिर उससे वही लैंड कन्वर्शन होता है, इट गेट्स कन्वर्टेड टू कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्टिविटीज़ एंड समथिंग एल्स, so it poses a big problem. So then you see about tourism, because tourism is one of the major source of economy in the state. However, since the industry has suffered a lot, particularly as a result of environmental degradation and deterioration in the quality of tourism products, certain regions and destinations are especially vulnerable to the impacts of climate change on their tourist industry, because tourism is so vital to their economic viability, or because the impacts from climate change are especially significant. To this end, reducing the vulnerability of the hotspots through short and medium term adaptation and mitigation strategies is imperative. Tourism firms themselves have a major role to play in adaptation to climate change as part of systems of innovation. Research on innovation in tourism and similar service firms indicate that there are a range of other measures that firms can adopt to respond to external stimuli and stresses, such as those brought about directly and indirectly by climate change, in order to survive and ideally maintain or even increase profit margins. Innovating at all the various levels of tourism will bring greater potential returns and enhance the likelihood of survival. It will also contribute to the resilience of the destination as a whole. Researchers have identified 6 policy suggestions for adapting in tourism industries. What? Enacting effective control systems to ensure that policies are implemented and monitored. पहले कंट्रोल सिस्टम एनेक्ट करना है ताकि ये इंश्योर किया जाए कि जो पॉलिसीज़ बनी है वो इम्प्लीमेंट हो रही है और उन पे पूरी नज़र है। और क्या है? इम्प्रूविंग एजुकेशन एंड अवेयरनेस ऑन क्लाइमेट चेंज. So we need to create an awareness among the people about climate change and its potential impacts, so that people will ask for sustainable tourism. So similarly, what we can do, just a moment. So similarly, what we can do, we can talk about these flexible and participatory approach, so that people will come and participate in such things, isn't it? And filling off policy gaps, right? So I think what you will do, you can again go through the policy, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And so that now, because we have discussed the policy today and you have some more fresh ideas about it, and now once you go through it, you can have a better perspective about the environmental policy.
Yes, sir.
So then you can have some points. So we can have a discussion over these points, inshallah, tomorrow, isn't it? So with this, we conclude